Oh fuck, right. The show. Right. How's it going, everybody? This week I had this chick on. We talked about flying saucers and, Alex Jones and a bunch of other shit. If you want the full extended interview, we talked for like over an hour. Head over to challengetheunknown.com and become a member today. You get access to episodes 2 weeks before they come out, and you can also listen to unaired interviews over there and the extended cut of this one. Also, this episode is sponsored by Smoky Mountain Squatch Coffee Company. I love that shit. What else do I gotta say? I like the coffee. If you want, you can get 10% off by using code C2 at checkout. Thanks for listening.
So in my defense, I did that. I'm not a huge boomer. I'm only 22. And I literally just exited it, and then like restarted it, and it worked. So here we are.
That's Skype. Skype is trash. I hate Skype, even though I use it to manage my phone lines and everything from my desk. But Skype is trash. I've hated Skype, and I've had a very bad relationship with Skype for a long time.
Yeah, I haven't used it since I was like 13 or something, so I'm like very confused, but oh well, we're here.
Here we are. So let's talk about some flying saucers, yeah?
Oh god, I feel like my story isn't that interesting, but sure.
We'll have some fun with it. I just got like the boatload of flying saucer pictures today, so we're gonna have some fun with this, that's for sure. Yeah, no, some dude decided to just unload his flying saucer photo collection today, and I'm just like, man, if the Fed's off me, all right, whatever, But in reality, every time I make a joke about getting offed by the Feds, the reality is they would rather me pay the taxes than kill me. So, I'm not really that worried about it.
There's plenty more people out there like Bob Lazar and stuff that they're after.
God, I love the Bob Lazar story. So let's just jump into it. What'd you see?
Really, truly nothing wild. Like, me and my mum would just, like, we hang out, like, every night and stuff outside. And, my mum's, like, really obsessed with aliens, so she'd always, like, look up at the sky and be like, okay, we're ready to see something, and we'd, like, joke about it. And we'd see stuff moving and things, but I'd always say to her, like, it's probably a satellite, So we saw that a few nights in a row and stuff. And then one night we saw one that was kind of like really sporadically moving. Like it was just going all over the show, And I was like, there is no way that that's a satellite, And I can't remember if it was the same night or the night afterwards, but there was 2 of them and they were kind of like chasing after each other, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, that makes sense. I've seen a lot of those kind of weird light videos.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were like chasing after each other, and they were doing really weird maneuvers like zigzagging, and then they'd stop really abruptly. They'd like move really fast, and then they'd just stop randomly, and then they'd do like some zigzags, and like this went on for ages. We were watching it for like half an hour. And then they kind of just like went off and did their own thing. And then I'm pretty sure at like some points they'd just disappear and then reappear somewhere else like really fast. And we were just watching it like really shocked, like what the hell is going on? And it wasn't truly anything crazy, but it was pretty like surreal because it was obviously not a satellite or anything,
Yeah, I saw you post on the forums about it, asking if anybody else had seen something like this, and what were the responses like? Did you get any good feedback?
Well, yeah, I was kind of scared about posting about it, to be honest, because I knew it wasn't anything wild. But then I got a pretty good response to it, and there were a lot of people that had seen the same thing. And like weirdly enough, New Zealand has pretty active skies, so I've heard. But I'm in Auckland, which is the most populated city and stuff, so we've got really crazy light pollution and stuff. So I never really expected to see anything wild out here. But yeah, like most people have seen really wild things. And when my mum was a kid, I mean, this means nothing to you because you're in America and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But she lived in this place called Cambridge, which is like a really tiny town when she was a kid. And she said that she full blown saw like a UFO. Her and her brothers and sisters were just outside one day. And Cambridge is pretty like rural and like there's hills and stuff. And when I asked her about it, she just said, yeah, we were just outside and this UFO just came and stopped and like looked at us. And I went in to go get my mum and it just like zoomed off, like whooshed off. And I was like, what did it look like? And she said it was just like this massive cigar shaped, like, and it was up close and personal. Like she said it would have only been like a few meters away from them. And then it just, zoomed off. So I'm pretty envious of that encounter.
Man, that stuff's wild. I love hearing about like the really crazy stuff that people talk about, because there's the lights in the sky that a lot of people see every once in a while and they're big question marks, But then there's like the people that have been in the forest and see a disc-shaped craft like land, and
Yeah.
I'm envious of that. I don't know if I would ever want to see something like that because I feel like I would have a panic attack.
Why not?
Um,
It's like when me and my mum were seeing these lights in the sky, she would always be like, okay, I want something bigger to happen. And I'd say to her, I'd be like, if something bigger happened, you would like lose your shit, like you wouldn't be able to handle it, And she's like, no, I'm ready for it. And it's really wild because my mum is super like 9-to-5 job, like a normal boomer, just like a normal person. She's not crazy or anything, isn't really into conspiracy theories or like supernatural things or anything, but she has this big thing for aliens, and I think it's because she saw them when she was a kid,
Yeah, that would really make some sense there. Also, you shouldn't be, too afraid of posting on the forums and stuff. Those communities are generally pretty welcoming, I've seen way crazier things get posted before, so I think you're good on that. And you're not
way crazier things that I've posted or that other people have posted.
That other people have posted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, and or you could be like me who just annihilated his entire career, but whatever, it's fine. I don't want to be associated with the institutions anymore anyway. So
because I've had paranormal experience. Well, I've had one paranormal experience that was like insane for me. I think I posted about it a few years ago and I didn't get like a great response to that. So I'm kind of like a bit more apprehensive with other things now,
I guess, the paranormal stuff is pretty, well, I'm trying to think. It depends on where you post it, really, because, I'm on a lot of the Facebook groups for like paranormal stuff, and man, is there some cringy stuff on those Facebook threads, like just the most obnoxious stuff that people are posting, and they're getting support for it. And I'm like, guys, this is so stupid. You make me look bad. And that's why where the stigma comes from, because people are like, they hear UFOs and stuff, and they think about the guy wearing a tinfoil hat in his mom's basement, and he's like, they're coming, and conspiracy government lizard people, and the elites are trying to take her, whatever it is, and that's why it is that way. And then like, I don't know why you got negative feedback, I guess. It seems pretty random too. Sometimes people will get really good feedback over really stupid stuff, and then someone will post something really interesting, and then it just gets nothing. It's all negative, and I don't really understand why that is, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel you.
So what do you think aliens are? Let me ask you that question.
I don't know, man. Like, there's so many theories about them and stuff, and like, I don't know. Like, I grew up and like my mum was really into aliens and my granddad was really into aliens. Like, he had all of those. Oh, what was that book called? The one that has like an alien on the front cover, like Communion or something. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I've heard about it, but I've never read it.
Oh yeah, I read those as a kid and stuff, and I don't know, I don't know if they're interdimensional. Like, obviously aliens exist. That, like, I think people are crazy when they say that there's no chance of them. And it's like, do you know how massive the universe is? So that's just wild to me. but I don't really know if I have a solid theory on aliens, like what they are or anything like that. Like I've been reading a lot of stuff about people's opinions on like whether they're good or bad, and I think that obviously if they do exist, they're just like humans, and there'd be good and bad ones. Um, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Like abduction stories really intrigue me because I would love to be abducted and like experience that. But yeah, what do you think about it? I haven't watched any of your stuff, so I actually don't really know your opinions on this type of thing.
for me, I actually have a pretty good theory on what I think these things are.
Mm.
I've talked to a lot of people over the years that have seen it. Some people a little bit out there, a little bit too much for me to buy into. But then I've heard some pretty credible stuff where I'm like, your story is probably true.
Yeah.
As for me, if I were to get abducted, I would pretend to play, be asleep on the table, and like when they're not looking, like steal something off the table and put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
That would be my play if I were to ever get abducted. But like the shoot, what is that? The fire in the sky story, which happened here in Arizona in the U.S., which is
Oh, my
like,
ex is from Arizona. Yeah, carry on.
yeah, and man, that one is crazy because it's verified. Everybody here knows about it, and it's just one of the most wild abduction stories in American history.
Mm.
As for what I think these things are, and I've talked about this on the show a couple times, the UFO topic is probably one of my favorites, right next to Sasquatch. But
I, I can't get amongst the Sasquatch ones, to be honest, myself.
oh my god, just wait till my book comes out. By the way, I'm writing a book. I haven't told anybody that yet, but it's almost done. But yeah, no, my opinion on the whole aliens thing is there's certain characteristics that I think about from a biological standpoint when we talk about the descriptions of these things is like there's no reproductive organs. There's, these things are tiny, this craft and stuff that Bob Lazar described. They're very, like, it doesn't look like there's anything alive in there, right? There's no, like, storage for, food or water or whatever these things would need to survive. So it makes me wonder if these are, like, not the little gray humanoids aren't the actual aliens themselves, but like some type of bioengineered thing specifically designed for space travel to be able to withstand long time in these like exploration based missions or whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
because that would explain like why there's no reproductive organs, things like that. And if something is capable of interstellar space travel, you would think that they would also wield some type of crazy genetic power also.
Wait, so where does the theory, like, I don't know anything about the whole, like, no reproductive thing. What is that about?
Right?
Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, just the descriptions of them is they have no genitalia, which is very
Oh, wow.
interesting to me. Yeah, and they have the
That
big
sounds
eyes, and
like, I'm pretty sure I saw some, like, I mean, this is just from, like, randoms on the internet, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone's experience and they said that there was, like, a definite distinct female and male. So, like, I don't know, like, I think that there isn't just one type of alien, you know what I mean? I think one thing that I like really believe in is that the government knows about them. And when I say the government, I mean like the American government. I don't think that the New Zealand government is really like in on it. Like we're just down here like, what's up, guys? So I think that y'all must know about something. But yeah.
yeah. By the way, random side note: I sent those UFO pictures I got earlier today to a friend of mine, Tanya, and she replied to these UFO pictures with, "quote I am very drunk. These are cool pictures." Thank you, Tanya. Anyway, back to
That's
what we were
pretty
talking.
much like my response to most things, or my friend's response to most things.
So anyway, yeah, the government and their involvement with it is a big question mark. You know, when I listen to Bob Lazar talk about it, I hear about the like material science kind of situation with it, where they seem to be taking it out, doing tests on it, and then putting it away for a decade until material science catches up further and further and further, and then they keep trying to reverse engineer this stuff. And that's one of the things that Bob Lazar has talked about at length is that, you
Mm.
know, that they just they don't understand it yet. They know what it is, but they can't replicate it because we don't have the tech to do it yet. So, it makes me wonder what the government does know about it. There's a lot of stuff from the Cold War also. We have documentation about that. Because the reporter George Knapp that's been involved with like the Bob Lazar story, he went to Russia and managed to like track down some former KGB guy and was like inquiring about UFO stuff. And the guy actually gave him documents from the Soviet Union era where something flew over one of their nuclear missile bases and turned everything on, armed all the missiles, and then shut everything down while it was hovering over their, nuclear stations. And it makes me wonder, like, what if the government probably knows just about as much as we do? The American government, obviously, with what we've heard with Bob Lazar, is that they actually have crafts and have done some research on it. But, as far as like the stories and the leaked videos where pilots have seen them and stuff like that, that's now all verified. And, it makes me wonder, like, are they just like the rest of us? Do they see that and go, yeah, that's a weird disc-shaped thing that the pilot recorded and it, it is what it is. And like Project Blue Book was a thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That was a real American project.
I've heard about it, but I really cannot remember what it was.
Basically, the United States government actually had a secret program where they investigated UFO sightings specifically and tried to determine whether or not they were like a threat to national security. Whether they were extraterrestrial or foreign, they just tried to figure out, but they could never get definitive proof, obviously. So eventually the project got shut down, and now that stuff has been declassified, and we know that Project Blue Book was a real thing. And it's just fascinating to me. The reality of it is, statistically speaking, these things have to exist, whatever they are.
My brother is in the Air Force, and he's pretty like hush hush about some things. And like, he's told me and my mum some stuff, which like I promised I would never say to anyone else, which is probably like useless for me to say right now. But it's nothing like amazing or anything like that. But how they're talking about how there may potentially be like some declassification or whatever in like July or something like that coming up, I think.
Yeah.
You guys?
Yeah.
I brought that up to him and I was like, do you guys know anything about that? And then he just like laughed about it. And I was like, blink twice for yes and like once for no. And he was like, I can't, like, I'm not allowed to like talk about anything like that. So you can't even like ask me questions. You know what I mean? So I think that there may be like some insight into things. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you a little bit. I don't know if they know the same amount as us. I think they probably know a bit more than we do and maybe a bit more insightful than we are. But yeah, I don't know. It's also the whole thing that like, I know that like, I mean, I may be wrong, but I've heard that America is a really like religious country. Like there's a lot of people that are into religion and stuff like that. Well, I mean, the entire world has heaps of places that are hugely religious. And you have to think about like, if people found out about this type of thing, how they would react to that, these extremely religious people and stuff, like it would probably make their world come crashing down. And even just people in general, I think, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's always one of the big arguments that I hear is that it would rewrite a lot of other religious stuff. And, it makes me wonder, what kind of implications would that realistically have? And I don't know, it could go either way, because I get it. I've seen a lot of those like crazy religious girls. The Mormon girl I dated in high school, that did not go over well, Okay, so I get the crazy religious kind of people. But then again, it's like, how many people are, how is that really going to affect your religion all that much? I guess I should look more into it. But yeah, I feel like people would adjust well. I feel like they would adjust well. They'd say, okay, and they just kind of adjust or make it work somehow with their religion. I don't think it would be too big a deal.
I genuinely don't know if they would adjust very well if they were like super religious. Like I have a friend whose parents are like very, very, very religious. And like we've discussed this multiple times and stuff. And it's like, I mean, I think for a normal person, finding out that, I mean, even us who believe in aliens already, I think if it did get like fully declassified and stuff, or if something big did happen, I would still be like, holy shit, you know? You'd like think about people that are like deeply, deeply religious, you know? It would be that, but like 10 times or 100 times more, you know? I think people who are that religious really base their entire lives around it, and it would just be such a huge thing to have that all kind of come crashing down, you know?
Yeah, because it would rewrite a lot of the creation stories if extraterrestrials were, you know, proven to be real. But that's the thing too, man, is like now we know about, you know, evolution and stuff like that, which also debunks the whole creationism kind of belief, but people still run with it, you know? So I feel like they would kind of just incorporate it. There would be some, yeah, that would probably lose their minds. And I have no idea how we totally just got on the topic of like religious like implications of extraterrestrials, but this is a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm like a pretty big fan of like the theory that humans could potentially be like alien crossbreeds with like, you know, something from this earth or whatever. Like that's pretty fun to think about.
Yeah, or it's like humans from the future or whatever some of the theories are, and or that we were some type of hybrid or something like that. You know, who knows? You know, I do touch a lot on like the evolutionary process in my book that's coming out, and it makes you wonder, man, like it also makes you wonder if these things are like they probably are carbon based on the reports that we've heard about them, you know, but it's like what was fire for them? You know, this is one thing that I've heard before is like, you know, for us, you know, big dumb crayon eating apes, we were like, oh, fire, and you know, that was our great power. What if their thing was like, oh, you know, nuclear fission, that's cool because of whatever stuff was on their planet.
Truly, like there's so many people like us, and like I think that there's people that actually have more knowledge than me and you do. You know what I mean? Like me and you aren't exact. Like if me and you came out, or just you came out and said this shit like you are, it's not really anything new or anything crazy. You know, if it was someone like Bob Lazar who was actually working on like, you know, in those
secret projects.
And they tried to like erase his existence and everything because he was like a credible person, you know, like just normal people like me and you coming out and talking about this type of stuff is kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. But people who are actually credible are what is like dangerous, you know. It's like sorry, this is like such a like side thing. I forgot his name, but the guy that does Missing 411, have you heard about him?
Oh, yes. Yes, yeah, I have.
Like he was a police officer or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like those people, like people who are genuinely like credible and stuff that come out and talk about those types of things. I can see why they're dangerous and they get like suicided or whatever the hell they do to them. But yeah, I think so many normal people talk about it and they can easily just chuck the term like conspiracy theorist on us, you know? But
yeah, and that's the thing is whenever I make a joke about getting off by the feds, it's always comical. I don't actually believe that the feds are trying to off me.
I joke about it a lot as well. I've done some like, oh man, I'm actually genuinely like concerned that I'm on a list or some shit for like the stuff that I've looked up without having a VPN and like dug into.
Same.
I still don't have a VPN. Like I should really do that.
Yeah, I use a VPN. I actually just started using one not too long ago. I was kind of like, yeah, you know, I think it's time to get a VPN. But yeah, that's the thing. I also have this running joke that I say a lot whenever I do like guest appearances and stuff. Not too long ago, I went on a podcast called Conspiracy Beer Me, which are these dudes that drink and talk about conspiracy theorists. And I went on there and got drunk with them and talked about Sasquatch. And, you know, I said in that interview, I said, and I'm just going to put this out there for everybody, you know, I am very happy with my life. I will never kill myself. If you find me dead, please inquire.
The time.
So, you know, yeah, it's like my fun little joke, you know, getting suicided. But yeah, no, the alien thing is a lot of fun. You know, I have fun with it. I enjoy it. You know, it's it's supposed to be fun, you know, all this conspiracy stuff like Sasquatch and the aliens and the Dog Man and the Mothman. It's fun, you know, and that's what this show is about. It's, you know, it's supposed to be entertaining. You know, I try to have fun with it.